What's up, y'all? This is a video that I was probably supposed to make 2 months ago, but I'm at the point now in my life where I feel comfortable openly talking about my story, and I feel like it has to be said if I want to be able to impact and change as many lives as possible. Growing up, bro, like I grew up two-parent household, nothing really was wrong. And then when I turned about 9 years old, I'd say, my father was dealing with some mental health issues, things that we didn't really know what was going on. And in 2013, I'd say September 1st, 2013, he decided to take his own life. And, that shit was crazy, bro. Like, it was crazy. And, me and my mom, we found him, which is the craziest part. And I'd say, like, from that moment on, like, I wasn't okay, man. And my mom, she wanted to do what was best for me, and eventually I got into football, bro. But from that time on, from what happened in fourth grade, what had happened was I had turned into a really angry child. I was in the school. I was literally fourth grade, just fighting people, cussing teachers out, breaking stuff in school. I actually went into like a mental institute because I started feeling the same way too. Like I didn't really want to be here. I don't know if I really meant those emotions back then, but that's how I felt in the moment when I was young, after what I was going through, And then sooner or later, man, I got into football. My mom put me in football, and I realized football really was going to help me a lot. Okay, I was young, so I didn't really realize it that much in the moment, but it tremendously helped me. Because as a kid, I was so angry, from going to breaking stuff around the house, just being mean to teachers, like just being a negative, dark kid. I was able to translate that energy into football, which is a violent sport, and like that helped out a lot. So I grew up playing football my whole life, but I was still going through it, man. I was literally still going through it, and everything had changed at that point, bro. And what had happened, bro, was 8th grade came around, and I was still playing football, and then out of nowhere, I had developed a skin condition called anhidrosis, and it happened out of nowhere. Like I don't know what it was. My theory is that the antidepressants I was taking because of my father's death led to my skin pores closing up, so I wasn't able to sweat. And the way that thing felt was like, okay, let's say you go outside, you run or you work out, and your body literally doesn't want to sweat. It literally does not want to sweat, meaning I would get overheated. Like I would actually get super overheated. My skin would get rashy and dry, and I would get really, really hot. What had happened, bro, was I got into that, and I had to put football away for a year. And that year, all I did was work out. And the times I tried playing football, I would damn near go to the hospital. I went to the hospital one time because my body was so hot, I couldn't even cool down. I don't know if I had a real heat stroke, but maybe definitely close to it. And yes, that whole year, man, I went from skinny to I put on like 45, 50 pounds of mass. Of course, not all of it was muscle. Definitely put on a ton of fat in that year. But yeah, that was the year I fell in love with the gym. Then again, I don't know if I really knew everything I was doing, but I had another outlet, okay? Because, back in middle school, I wasn't lifting weights like that. I was probably doing push-ups every night. But high school came around, so I started lifting on at a really early age. Nowadays, most kids, they get into lifting at like 12th, 11th grade, so I got into it pretty early. So I was able to develop a lot of muscle mass at an early age, right? And then, so got into that, and then I loved working out. I loved working out. So I trained the whole year, and I ended up getting some antibiotics that were able to help me sweat again, okay? So now to this day, I sweat a decent amount, but I still don't sweat in like my arms or my legs. So, some places I still get overheated, but I'm definitely way better than I was 5-6 years ago. So got back into football. I played at some school. It was hard getting back into it. I wasn't the same. I was a lot bigger. I wasn't used to all that weight I was carrying because of the year of me lifting weights and just eating a lot. So I had to accumulate to how my body was moving. And then I'd say like after 2 years of like trying to find myself back in football, my senior year came around and I felt like myself again. I felt like I was able to play at the skill set that I left off, like the talent, the effort, everything was back there again, right? So I transferred to a school called Western High School, a big AA school here in South Florida. And my goal was to go play college football. That was my goal. I wanted to see if I could still do it, even after, years of not being myself. But I felt like myself again this year, okay? So, I was training hard. I had a really good spring season going into my senior year. And then the summer came around, right? And then what had happened in that summer was while I was training, trying to get some interest from colleges, and, things were looking good for me. My grandpa passed away from COVID-19, unfortunately, man. And I'd say in that moment, like the way I felt, it's crazy to say this now, but I was so focused and so locked in on football and trying to make it as a college athlete that I didn't really take time to really process those feelings, okay? And I've heard this about trauma, like when you have so much going on, like I cried weeks and nights. It just, something felt different about it because I was chasing something so hard in the moment. And I don't know if this is a feeling that I want to translate, for the rest of my life when bad things happen, because, you really want to feel your pain, But yeah, that had went on. But I knew what the one mission was. I wanted to go play college football. But, I was still going through some shit, bro. The fall season had came around and, things were going good. I'd say week 4 came around, and what had happened, bro, was my uncle died. Something to do with his lungs. And this was literally in the middle of the season. This was literally right in the middle of the season. And then, so when that had happened, I was like, wow, this life shit is crazy. Like, this is crazy. And then, like, all my life, I always felt like I had a small family. I always felt like that. And I always felt like my family didn't really have the big holidays like you see, like the American style. And, growing up in America, like, that's what everybody wants, right? But it's hard to relate to that. It was always hard to relate to that, even before all these bad things happened, bro. So you can imagine how I already felt, Still now, man, Christmas, New Year's, I really don't feel happy, man. I don't feel like how, I don't feel the same, bro. But, I can't be the only person that feels like that, But, yeah, basically, bro, he died on a Wednesday. My uncle died on a Wednesday. I went to go see him in the hospital right after football practice. And then I still had to strap it up that Friday night, man. My team depended on me. And then that night, I'm pretty sure I ended up in the newspaper, man. Like they picked like the best like top players in each county for like, each position. I had 3 tackles for loss and a sack. And wow, like after that game, bro, I remember that before that game, I wrote his name on my towel and I went and I bawled the fuck out. And I told myself I was going to do it for him that night. And, it sounds like some movie shit, but that's really how it felt. It felt like some movie shit. And yeah, bro, like from that point on, I said, wow, I got to make every single loss in my life something positive because I know I could make it happen. I know I can make it happen. I know that my journey doesn't just stop here. Anything that life throws at me, I'm ready to go attack it. And in high school, I went through a bad breakup too, bro. But, after going through all this shit, I hate to say it. I hate to be that guy. But as a man, the least worst thing that can happen to you is a breakup. People are out here dealing with real shit every single day, So as bad as your problem is, someone's always going through it worse. My situation was bad, but there's people out there with no parents, no nothing, So I had to realize that after that. And now that I'm older, I realize it even more, But so after that, I finished the season off, did pretty good. But the crazy thing is, even though I was playing football and I had an amazing season, right? And I looked like I was doing great. I was going to parties on the weekend, playing football on Friday. Like I was living the high school football star life, like with everybody else on my team. And then really how I was feeling throughout the whole time, bro, I was really depressed. Obviously I was depressed. I had 2 deaths happen in like a span of 2 months. I'd say, bro, like in that moment, I gained like 30 pounds in the middle of the football season. I was eating so much fucking food after football practice. For some reason, like I was telling myself it was okay. I was playing football and I was going through something bad. So even though I was doing something insanely good, like playing high school football, starting, having a good season. I was drowning myself in food. Like, I was eating my ass off every single day. And people don't know this now, but I was eating so much food. I literally developed a gut in football. It's crazy because, like, in football season, like, you know, coaches tell you, man, pack on all that weight before, because during the season, you're going to drop weight. So if I gain 25, 30 pounds in the middle of the season, I'm eating a shit ton of food just to make myself feel better. You know, one, because of what I was going through, and two, because I thought it was okay because I was an athlete. I thought it was okay to eat like shit. I thought it was okay to eat fried food every single day. I thought it was okay to have all these horrible habits, drinking after every single football game as a high schooler, going out to parties on a Saturday just because I won. You know, of course it was fun in the moment, and I don't regret those decisions, but I learned a lot within that time frame, you know? So I got really fat, and then what had happened was I told myself after the season, right, I'm going to cut all this shit off. I want to look good. It wasn't for no crazy purpose, but I wanted to get it off. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like the way I felt. I felt horrible. I felt disgusting. And I just didn't want to stay like that. I hated it. I hated it. And I always disguised myself as I was so confident to talk to girls and do all this shit. But I really wasn't. I didn't really know how to, like, I really wasn't. I was just getting by because, you know, I don't know why, but I was really not confident. I hated who I was. I was insecure. My face was so fat. And most Asians have chubby faces. So if I'm 250 pounds, my face was huge. Like, I was ugly, bro. I hated it. I hated it. But I acted like I liked it. I acted like I was confident. I acted outside like I was the school jock and I was so cool and confident. But I really wasn't. I hated who the fuck I was. So I cut all that weight, and, you know, I developed an insane amount of love for working out again. Like, I already had the one time in my freshman year where I was really loving it. And for some reason, man, when I lost all that weight again, within like 3-4 months, I told myself I want to become a personal trainer. So I actually went and got my personal training certificate, and I had a couple weights here. I had a couple things here. So I actually started personal training kids and people that I knew in my garage right after going through a big weight loss journey myself. I was like, okay, if I did it myself, I could teach other people, right? But of course, I got my certification, and I had about 8 consistent clients, maybe sometimes more, that would pop up here and there. And I was charging like $20 a session, you know? I was in high school just trying to, you know, do something, bro. So, you know, I had that hustle. Like, you know what I'm saying? I always had that hustle to, like, really do something bigger, right? Even though I was only 18, I wanted to do this. I wanted to be a personal trainer. So I went and committed to a school that I already had friends at. They were already playing football there, and I went with some college teammates as well. It kind of sucked because I wanted to keep growing the personal training brand, but I had already committed to college to go play football. So I went and played my freshman year. You know, I actually got hurt. I was supposed to travel with the varsity team my freshman year, but I tore my AC joint or whatever. So I got back into it, and then I ended up playing the last couple games at the end of the year. But yeah, I was hurt for a little bit. And then, you know, I was living the life of a college athlete, not really focusing on personal training, but I always was working out. I was always working out, always working out, always working out. I always knew working out was going to be the way. I always knew I was going to somehow end up as a personal trainer. I didn't know if it was going to be this soon. I didn't know if it was going to be online. I didn't know. But I knew after college, or sometimes towards the end of college, I was going to find a way to develop that career again. Because it helped me. It helped me get through that fucking tough time in my life. Like, how could I not come back to it some way, somehow, you know? So sophomore year of my college came around. Then I played, I traveled, I did all the things I had to do. I didn't start, but, you know, fast forward, just played, living a whole college lifestyle, still working out, still training, not doing any sort of personal training. And then right before my junior year, I invested into, you know, mentorship to start my online coaching business, man. And, you know, it wasn't really going that well. I was signing some clients. And then, you know, just this past year, man, January, I started to really get amazing results for my clients. And I realized that I could really do this for real. And this is going to change my life. This is going to help me change millions of lives that, you know, have possibly been through what I've been through, have faced insecurities. And I wanted to help people get in shape. I seen what it could do for me. So I wanted to do the same exact thing for other people. I wanted this shit really, really bad. So I was trying to balance everything. Literally just this past February, I was trying to balance football, school, and being an online fitness coach. But I couldn't balance it. So I had to pick one, right? And the way my brand was growing, the amount of lives I was changing, seeing the impact that I can make on people, I decided this is the route I wanted to go. Fast forward later, I've changed about 50 plus lives. I've helped people in strength conditioning. I've helped a lot of obese people drop 40, 50 pounds in the span of a couple months. I've helped people do a full body recomposition of losing body fat and turning all of it into muscle. I've helped people in all aspects of fitness, but more importantly, the main part of the journey of being an online fitness coach is to help people find their new identity, help people find who the fuck they really want to be in life. Because there was a point in my time where I was lost. I didn't know who I wanted to be. I didn't know how I was going to respond to the things the world threw me. But one thing I always knew was that the gym and literally walking in that shit and lifting some heavy fucking weight can make me feel better. Because as men and women, we deal with so much things. Like, as you can hear about my story, I dealt with so much trauma. I was angry. I was an angry child. And whether it was football or lifting weights, it gave me the same adrenaline that I needed to go out and feel better that day, to feel like I had something to lean on. Okay, and it sounds corny. If you never worked out, if you never went on a journey like this, then you might not understand. But at the same time, this might be what you need. This might be what you need right here. If you're going through something, this might be what you need, bro. I'm fucking telling you, this might be what you need. So yeah, man, I picked this. I picked online fitness coaching, and I love it. I love changing lives. I really feel like God put me on this earth to make this impact. Of course, there's so much other things you could do out there to make online money, and other things I've looked into, like trading and insurance sales. And, you know, part of the journey was to become financially free and, you know, live a life of freedom. And as there are so many ways to do that, probably easier than this, creating a personal brand, this fulfills me, because this lets me know like somebody is seeing results off of my work. Somebody feels good about the skills I've taught them in working out and life and dieting and living a healthy lifestyle. It literally really feels good, man, like honestly. But yeah, man, I appreciate y'all tuning in. That's about it for the video. This was hard, man. This was hard, but I'm glad I made it. I'm glad I made it. I could say all these bad things. I could feel and regret everything I've been through and wish I never went through it. But man, if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't be strong. I wouldn't be able to change lives. I wouldn't be able to make an impact on the world. You really got to grow through what you go through. Everything you go in life is your identity. And it's up to you to turn it into power and passion, or you let that shit make you a victim. So yeah, man, if you enjoyed this video, man, subscribe to the channel, follow my Instagram, and more than anything, man, I'm a brother. I'm your brother, man. So if you need to talk to somebody, my IG is right there. Hit me up, and we can have a conversation about anything, bro. Y'all have a blessed day.